Vegas because I want to go see Usher.
Yeah.
I wanted that to be my gift for myself this year. And he's like, oh, no, you can't go. The station is not getting us 2 rooms. We're only getting 1 room. So me and Steiny is sharing rooms. And then I hear Steiny saying that he's taking his daughter with him. I'm like, wait a minute now.
She's going to stay in her own room, right?
What Daryl just
Mia!
Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
All right, crossover time. Guru about to cross over into the land of the single.
But before we do, Mark, I missed you yesterday.
Willard and Dibs, now the only show that hasn't had the significant others call in yet. Man. Anyway, go ahead.
I didn't think she listened. And she said Vegas, like, you just need that me time. That's like Steiny's there. But my wingman let me down. Willard has to take it out of there. It's like, boy. Hey, Dibs, can I give Dibs a thank you? Sure. He made it to the cookout. I look out, I see a white guy coming up the driveway. I'm thinking it's the cops. I'm like, oh no. And it's Dibs with his glasses on. Everybody loved him. Dibs, thank you for coming. But and I got to put this out there. I got a cousin, Alfred, was in San Quentin 12 years. He said he didn't do it. Got his life, he's out, got his life together. I'm introducing Dibs to Alfred, who looks like Patrick Willis. Big guy, very studious. True story, Steiny. I'm introducing him. Before I can get Dibley out, he goes, this Alfred, 12 years in Quentin now, just out. The legend Dan Dibley. I go, oh God, between Steiny's great year and Dibs in Sacramento and my boy knows he says I listen to you all the time, knew all this background. Dibs just sitting there, music playing. But Willard, I said,
well, they got smart speakers in the rooms down there?
What
do they got?
They got everything.
Everybody has a transistor.
Yeah.
What do they got?
Dude knew his whole history, but I ain't hating like Steiny would had that been me.
Yeah.
I go, you got to be kidding. Called him the legend.
The legend.
Dan Dibley.
Well,
I walked off. Anybody need anything? Just like, I'll let you two rejoice. But Dibs is famous.
Thank you for the invite, and sorry for the late Evite confirmation. It was 11th hour, but
if you could have.
I mean, I will be back.
Yeah,
I will be back. The warmth that I felt, I felt very welcomed and at home, and once the food came out, man, and I Miss Mia brought her A game: ribs, chicken, hot dogs.
I'm saying it's Steiny's tonight.
Next time there's gonna be pizza, maybe. But it was terrific, and I had a chance to talk to your daughter for a good amount of time, and
she spoke on it. Her and her friends.
Yeah, talked a little bit about my 13-year college journey, and
there you go.
Just it goes by fast, even when you take your 13 years. So thank you, Goo.
I came out the funeral yesterday. It's a true story.
Yep.
I've been waiting on you. And me, Norm, Lil Daryl driving, and it hurt me to hear we were just talking about why this Lance thing has people fighting. You set it up perfectly, because it is. It's A, B, everybody's different. We all have our opinions. But Willard, you did not get called racist on Twitter. And if you did, that's wrong, because I would tell you if you were. But can I help? Can I just do what I did to Steiny this morning?
Sure.
Because I got to paraphrase what I think your take is, what you shared with me multiple times about Trey. This guy started last season. Regardless of why he started, he was the starter, number 3 pick in the draft. They moved mountains to get him. But for people to say, and it's your prerogative, anybody out there, that he might be on his way out, my whole thing is, I know he ain't going to be the starter. Brock Purdy has outperformed him. I know there's nothing I can give you on film to where I'm like, Trey showed us this or that. But to me, why I called the energy weird, me personally, and I told you guys, is how do you go from you're the starter last year, I break my ankle, there've not been too many practices, okay, OTAs, to where now he's not on the Niners. So that to me is where I'm like, do people have an agenda? Do they not like the person? And that could be what happens, but before it has happened, I do question, because I've seen it, and I'm not talking to you, I've seen it from multiple people writing like it's about to happen, and that's why I'm like, hold on. If I'm running everything, I already told you, he's my number 2 because he was my number 1 last year and he got hurt. But help me bridge how you go from starter, broken ankle, to maybe not on the team. And maybe that's why some people came at you, because when you set it up that way, Willard, it is like, okay, I get not being the starter, but all the way past number 3 to off the team. But Michael Silver, I just reread his article even from last year, and I would love to talk to him. I would love to ask Kyle, before I pass this over, has your confidence waned in Trey Lance? Like, is that a fair question to ask him? Or he probably wouldn't answer it because his coaches speak. But if you read his article, it's like, Willard, it's on the table for him not to be a Niner.
Okay, real quick, I'm going to pass along some breaking news before we dive into all of that. Yeah. This is going to make you love a certain human being you've never met before. Ladies and gentlemen, Eduardo Rodriguez, I would say right now, probably the top starter still remaining.
We just talked about him.
We just did. The Detroit Tigers and the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Oh, no, Willard, I thought you were saying Giants.
Had an agreement in place.
Courtesy Jeff Passan.
Wow.
And Rodriguez invoked his 10-team no-trade clause.
But caught.
Double birds, Dodgers. I'm not coming to you.
What could have popped off?
The
they need them. Their pitching
dead.
is kaput.
The deal is dead, and
this is almost better than had the Giants acquired somebody.
Absolutely.
Look at the joy on his face.
Now that's strange.
Schadenfreude is
the
what that
Giants
is.
keep their prospects, and the Dodgers get spurned.
But
I've never been happier in my life.
The Giants could use them. Do you think it's over? Well,
I don't think they're going to get him.
What could have happened? And they need pitching back.
I think he realized that the Dodgers are an evil empire who have not been able to win a real ring since 1988. He wants to win. He knows it won't happen there. So he said, no thanks.
I got a name for you.
He's playing right there. I thought you was going to say Giants.
I really want to dive into what you said, though, too. But go ahead. Go.
So I was listening to Flem this morning, Dave Fleming, and Lance Lynn's name came up, who just was acquired by the Dodgers. He's been terrible this year.
Yeah, he's been awful.
So, but Fleming is saying, sometimes you get a guy like that, hopefully, all his numbers have to do is come back a little, and that will have meant that he pitched pretty good for the Dodgers. I just saw a guy who's having a horrible year. Just would fit this criteria. What about Zach Greinke?
Wow. I mean, I don't even know what's the contract.
He's $13 million.
And just this year, or are there future years?
That's a good question. I think just this year.
I get it. Zach.
He went Zach on
He's 1-11.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, Zach Greinke, and he's on a one year, $8.5 million. I mean, I don't know what the evaluation is.
Yeah, I don't either.
He's a Royal, and I haven't seen him in 3 years.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on with that guy. Plus,
he's just like a name. I was
and he deals with like high level anxiety.
Oh no, that's
terrible. Yeah. And so, I mean, I think it's one of the things that late in his career, you look at the choices he's made, where he wants to play. Yeah. He does not want to go to the big city. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know that now. I don't know what his playoff performances have been. I feel like there have been some good ones, but he doesn't like the spotlight. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what. But I haven't heard his name in forever.
Yeah.
But anyway,
go ahead.
To answer everything that you threw out there, I think there are two things going on here that I would sort of love to address. I don't know why anybody thinks that anything is personal with Trey Lance. I don't know why it always goes there. You brought up, and yes, by whatever, 3 wackadoodles on Twitter don't matter, but yes, race has been brought up,
the
directed
black quarterback
at me.
syndrome, Willard.
Or any bevy of reasons. I have not encountered any of that in any sort of a real form. I don't think that any of this is ever personal. So the idea that Trey is being held down by someone, by something, by the team, by Kyle, I don't understand that. But where my brain goes when you just brought up what you brought up, how does he go from starter to this?
To possibly being off this team.
I don't think he's going to be off the team. At least I don't think he's going to be cut.
Okay.
I think he could be traded. You know what I mean? If somebody offered you a 5th rounder 2 months ago, why would you cut him? Go back and take the 5th rounder if it's still there, if that's what you want to do. Where my brain goes, though, is to the conversation we all had when Jimmy Garoppolo got restructured last year. I don't think that the 49ers were ever comfortable with Trey Lance starting.
That sounds like Steiny.
I don't think they were ever comfortable with it. I think they were hesitant the whole time. I don't think that they had any options in July last year. And then an option, whether it just appeared or whether they knew that that might be a fallback position the whole time, what have you. Like, I don't know the way it was going to play out if he didn't break his ankle, but I thought from the second it happened, this idea, oh my gosh, yeah, like extra, sure, why wouldn't you bolster the QB room? I never bought that. It was a hedge. They weren't feeling good about what they saw. I don't think
so. This is an indictment. The fact that Brandon Allen's here sharing reps is an indictment. That's why I asked Steiny, and he gave me his opinion. These
reporters are not mad at Trey. This whole thing that's out there, and you can actually see it. You want to know? Grandy and I were talking about this 5 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. You want to go on Twitter, and you can tell where someone's sort of like where their bias lane is.
I got you.
Trey Lance, along with two other guys, are doing second/third team reps. If you list out the quarterback stats for the day, and somewhere in there you're like, but Brock Purdy is going. He's the one going against the first team defense. Oh, then you're kind of like a Brock guy. But if Trey Lance with the set, well, Trey Lance was 4 of 6, but he doesn't get to throw to Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. Well, you can't do both. Mm. Either one of them's not thrown to the first-team receivers, but the guy who is going against Fred Warner and Hufanga. Yeah. And Trey and Sam, those guys are not. So the bottom line is this. I trust the 49ers. My opinion is based on what their opinion is. I think Kyle Shanahan is smart. I think he evaluates this stuff. I think they put a truckload of resources into this guy, and they would love to have him succeed. And I have not seen one moment since he got here where the 49ers looked comfortable with him being the starting quarterback, and they have their reason for that.
And who knows how last year would have played out if he never got hurt. By the time Jimmy Garoppolo is up to speed, if Trey Lance is still struggling, maybe they pull the plug on Trey Lance at that point, or maybe they don't. We'll never find out. But the injury definitely robbed him of a chance for Trey Lance fans to say, well, at least he got a chance, because he didn't really get a chance. He started 4 games. He's played basically 3 and a half worth of professional football, which is not a very good sample. Mark was talking about not being able to judge Brock Purdy even really at this point. You don't know
but there's
with Brock Purdy. There is positive,
okay.
But he hasn't even started half a year yet but in terms of actual games.
It was incredible.
He's been great. Yeah, it's a small sample, and the Trey Lance sample's even smaller. So I lean on what Kyle Shanahan is going to see and what he's going to say, because he's a guy who's been around him every single day through every year that he's been a professional quarterback. And obviously you don't want to cut Trey Lance. Kyle doesn't want to do that. Trey doesn't want to be cut. You want to find a place for him if he's not going to be here. You want to trade him for something. But this article from Michael Silver, I don't think it comes out of just, I want to get some clicks. Okay. He's not a hot taker. I mean, if you listen to him on our show for the past 8 months, you'd know that.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco and Odyssey Station. You know, like last year, the Niners, halfway through the summer, had Trey Lance, Sudfeld, and Purdy. And I think they looked and said, like, there's no experience there. Let's bring Garoppolo back. And I think I don't know if they found themselves, but to me, Darnold's here because the other 3 guys have never played really before. Like, don't you have to have one guy who's at least got a little bit of experience? Like,
absolutely.
You can't go in with
and I take them at their word
Brock,
about Sam Darnold.
And Allen.
Well, and with Sam Darnold,
he's got more experience than any of them.
15 games. Yeah,
Sudfeld's played in 6 games. So to your point, last year you got Brock with 0. Trey at that point was 2.5 games basically, and Sudfeld with his 6. So I think you're right. If you're a championship team, you need to have some experience, which is why you brought back Jimmy G. For this year, take Trey aside. I do take John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan at their word when they say, we've always loved Sam Darnold. We had a high grade on him back then. We've kept our eye on him over the years. So I think they looked at the Sam Darnold signing as much about we like Sam as it is we need insurance on Brock and Trey.
Yeah. Let me ask you something.
Go ahead,
I'm not directing anything at anyone here.
And I got something for you.
But
I got two things for you and one for Steiny.
If you want to represent this here, go right ahead. But there are thousands of you out there. When someone says the coverage of Trey Lance is unfair, what are we actually saying? What exactly, if you feel there's a reporter out there and people go, the coverage of Trey Lance is unfair, what is actually the accusation there, or what is it that anyone is seeing that makes them feel like it's unfair?
Okay, and I'm being so real with me at a funeral yesterday. I've been somewhat off of the grid, but I've been hearing the noise. I think, one, when you give these cockamamie stats, which I kind of do like, of practice, and you say who did what, and let's just say Lance had a good day, that's kind of buried at the bottom, and it's not no ice cube on it. There was not a good day. It was just Trey was 9 of 11. And then day that, Trey is bad, he was awful.
You think that gets highlighted more? The bad gets highlighted?
I'm speaking for what I hear the people saying is being left out. I don't even care about that stuff because I'm judging preseason. That's when I'm going to watch in regard to the disbursement of snaps and how long you play.
All the quarterback stats are out there, and I could agree with you that, my God,
the way it's written, Mark,
it's just overdone. But
I'm not saying it's right, Steiny.
And again, you were off the grid yesterday. I will tell you, not one reporter who didn't come out and say that was Trey Lance's best day, and Trey Lance was the best quarterback on the field yesterday.
And I was just using yesterday as an example.
Yeah, but that was highlighted everywhere. Mm-hmm. Today, apparently, it was Brock. Brandon Allen was perfect. He only threw the ball 5 times. You know what I mean? But I don't know. What do you think?
Here's the thing I think about, like, with Trey Lance. And the racial issue. Yeah. Just put that a little bit under the surface, but I think it's unfair to say the coverage has been unfair, because to me, what would be an indictment of Trey Lance where you could really maybe grasp something? If we heard, he's lazy. He doesn't study. He's not studying the playbook. He doesn't work hard. Like, we've heard nothing
but good.
Nothing about his work ethic or his intelligence or his how he approaches learning the playbook. At least not that I've heard. Right. Now, if that were out there, then I would say, look, that's got to be either, like, put up or shut up with that kind of thing.
The Kyler Murray stuff.
Correct.
But I would rebuttal to that, Steiny, is I almost would take one of what you just mentioned as opposed to somebody, and Mike Silver's a big boy, so I can't question where he's getting this from. He's hearing it from somebody. But when it goes to Trey may not be on the team, that's worse than anything you just mentioned.
What if that's real?
Is why?
What if it's real?
And that's where I was
going.
So
why are we coming after people with opinions?
Because it's not real now. He's still on the team.
No, but
that's why I can't get mad at Kyle.
But he didn't say that. He didn't say that it was happening or that it should happen. He just simply indicated that it's a possibility.
Right.
In other words, Trey Lance's roster spot is not 100% secure.
So Willard,
that's newsworthy, and I promise you he was told that by somebody who knows.
And this is why I call the energy for that weird. Steiny just mentioned the steps of where you could, Willard's not working. He's not doing this or that or that. The tea leaves come out. But when you hear none of that, and the kid's a good kid, and it ain't about personality, but then you get to, he's out of here. Hold on. Stop the bus. What did we miss?
Well, they don't like where the ball goes when he throws it.
My next thing
too often,
Willard. My next thing to that
is it? Can't we make it that simple?
Right. But Kyle just the other day said he likes where Trey is.
Well, that's a coach talking.
Okay,
you're not going to find one thing he says bad about any of them.
Right, Willard. I'm not fighting you. I'm asking you on the flip side, how do you know it's 100% that way? That's all I'm asking the both of you.
I mean, writers who have covered the league, media has covered the league for years and years and years, are looking at what's happening. 4 quarterbacks. The 4th one's gotten it. It's unusual.
Right.
So when something is unusual, it's fair to ask questions. And the 49ers are doing something different this year. Like
So to the three of you,
there's four quarterbacks, there's three spots.
My answer is what happened in Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game. I could be wrong. We'll find out. But to the three of you, I'm just asking politely.
Yeah.
The reason they have four quarterbacks and the way that the snaps are getting dispersed in practice are all an indictment, because what's out there in the streets is it's all because Trey Lance is not doing his job. I think that's unfair.
I think they have 4 now because they needed 3 during OTAs because Brock wasn't available. So you brought in 3 knowing you had Brock. So essentially you were going to have 4, but you didn't know that Brandon Allen would be as impressive as he was in OTAs. That's what Kyle said. So Allen looks good in OTAs. So now you decide we're going to camp with 4, knowing you're only going to keep 3. Now you'll eventually get a practice squad QB. I don't think that any of these 3 guys are going to make it through the process and wind up on the squad. So one of them is going to eventually have to go. But I think about what Steiny said in terms of what have the Niners done, their actions. On day 1 of free agency, they brought in Sam Darnold, a guy who also was highly drafted. Immediately, Sam Darnold, we want you to be our backup quarterback. And he says yes, because they probably whispered in his ear, you got a great chance to be the 2. And you brought in Brandon Allen to be a camp body during OTAs, and he looked pretty good. And so now you keep him around, and you look at Trey Lance, and you're still not thrilled with how he has developed for whatever reason. Shanahan might be right. He might be wrong. The Warriors might be wrong about James Wiseman. They don't think that they were, and I happen to think that they were correct to get rid of James Wiseman, but you get to a point here in 4 weeks, and the Niners will have to make a choice.
The other thing about Darnold is if the 49ers come and say, we want to sign you, and it's day 1 of his availability, like in a way, they don't have to tell him, hey, you'll be competing. And he doesn't need to hear it because he looks and says, they got a guy who started 4 games and a guy who started 8 games. I'm going to San Francisco because that's my best opportunity because they got young quarterbacks there.
And Brock was still hurt at the time.
So Willard,
right.
So you hear where I'm coming from.
Of course, I get, like, I don't think anybody doesn't understand how odd this is.
Right.
How surprising this is and unprecedented it is. What I hate about the whole thing is it's just like I'm watching people all over the internet who are simply, A, passing along what happened in camp, and B, passing along their sourced reported material. And they're being called haters. Like, at a certain point, and I know distrust for the media is now just rampant, but this isn't that. These are people we know who are covering the 49ers. This isn't the big, bad behemoth on cable networks. Like, if your distrust for the 10 to 15 people who are assigned to cover the 49ers and your distrust for the people who run the 49ers is that high, if it's that high, then okay. But to me, that's what it is. Nobody hates Trey Lance. No one.
I'm not saying you do.
Give me one name. Who hates Trey Lance and why? The 49ers have had all kinds of hesitation from day 1.
But Willard, with all that said, he could end up being their back. He could be back quarterback too.
Of course he could.
Okay, so you have that on the table.
Of course he could.
Even if it's
all on the table.
Okay.
But
if it's highly what?
Unlikely.
If he thinks it's highly unlikely,
I think right now,
I think it's possible he could be the backup.
Of course.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I don't think it's highly unlikely.
I think right now Darnold has maybe a tiny inside track based on just things that have happened to get him here. Yeah. I think Brandon Allen is actually on the roster because they want to be ready if they do trade him.
If he can't win number 2, and like I said, I can't tell you 3, look at him do this. I'm concerned. I'm worried. But I'm sitting here like, man, if the politics of your pick, Trey, can't get you, not number 1, number 2, son, it's a wrap.
None of this.
You weren't good enough. You didn't. Right. They drafted you and had a vision of what you were. But Steiny and I had World War IV. I missed him yesterday. And we were damn near saying the same thing because last year, as mad as I want to get at Kyle Dibs, I can't because you know why? He gave the kid the keys to the Ferrari, told Jimmy night-night. If you believe that, Steiny and I had a little different opinion. But it was his show, and he got hurt. But I can tell you this, Mark and Dibs and Steiny, that playbook, I know there was no McCaffrey. Did not look like the playbook Purdy had.
But why
and
would
I
it?
do ask
But
why.
why?
And maybe the why was, he can't do it.
Right. They're trying. A coach tries to win the game, and a coach calls plays that he thinks will work. The 49ers think that Trey Lance struggles with accuracy.
Man.
That's it. That's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it doesn't absolve the 49ers because if that's all true, it means they made a horrible trade.
But you got to bail out because Brock is the best cologne in the world.
If he is.
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of bad picks, just real quick, Jalen Hurd has announced he's retiring from the NFL.
No way.
Oh, wow.
It's over. It's a wrap.
Yeah, that's
According
funny.
to sources.
An hour ago, he was making an unbelievable touchdown catch at Patriots camp.
Jalen Hurd?
Yes.
The same Jalen Hurd.
That guy.
I better get a second source on
That's
this.
so crazy.
Oh, man. Maybe I'm retiring.
Why don't
from
you
this
guys
show.
figure that out?
Thank you.
Steiny's the
And
best.
no, you guys will be on the air when the trade
deadline is
comes
got,
and goes.
what do we got? 47
I
minutes.
thought Rodriguez
Yes,
was
sir.
going to be a giant the way you
Maybe.
said it.
All right,
That
gentlemen.
played the sound. All right, I'm out.
Go to it.
Bye, boys.